Hello, this is Les. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the third video on building the miniature model Clyde Puffer cargo ship. In this video I will show and talk a little bit about the finishing details, the painting. I'll test the boat in that tub of water, and after the video I have a number of photos of the work in progress showing the making of the rails and the ladders and so forth. I haven't got the little lifeboat fastened on yet, but the little winch in the front here is non-functional. The mast and the boom have a lot of, on the original ship, have a lot of additional rigging to stabilize the mast, which I didn't install because I thought it would probably get in the way of opening up the ship, because this is a live steamer, and to get at the innards, the top comes off like that. So I was thinking the rigging would probably be in the way, so I had, at this point I haven't installed it. Some of the things I want to show is these rails. I glued these rails on, and of course put the lettering on. Added quite a bit of sheet lead to the bottom, which makes the boat very stable in the water. It has a very low center of gravity, so you can heel it over almost 45 degrees in it, and I'll demonstrate that in a little bit. Also, I added a little exhaust steam pipe from the engine right here to exhaust into the hot stack to get the moisture, to keep the moisture out of the bottom of the boat. The floor in the wheelhouse was cut out to provide a fresh air supply for combustion air for the burner. And so I'm gonna oil it up and put some water and alcohol in it and fire it up and put it in the water bath, and we'll see how it goes. I want to thank a lot of people that sent me pictures of their models or pictures of other Clyde Puffer ships that they had, which helped me decide on the paint colors and some of the detailing that I did. So thank you to those folks. I probably have about 200 hours. I didn't really keep records, but I'm thinking it probably took me about 200 hours or less to build this model, and the cost probably $200 or less, probably because I have a lot of scrap materials on hand from other projects and so forth. But it's not an expensive hobby, and if you want to build a live steam model, something that's inexpensive and doesn't take a great deal of time, I would recommend that you look into a miniature model steamboat. And this boat is designed around the little single-cylinder, single-acting steam engine that I designed, and I have offered the plans for free in a PDF format. If you want that, send me an email and I will send you the engine plan. This is a real popular ship to model. Clyde Puffer, it was a 66-foot cargo ship. It was built from 1856 to 1939, and it was used on the west coast of Scotland to haul freight, and it was built on the Forth and Clyde Canal. And the Puffer name arose from the first ships having non-condensing engines. So the steam, just like this little model, was exhausted into the atmosphere, so it had that chugging or barking or puffing sound that you get from non-condensing engines. And it was coal-fired. I named this the Vital Spark. That is from a fictitious boat that was written about in short stories by an author named Neil Monroe. I think that's how you pronounce it. And later became a British TV series about the adventures of a crew on this little cargo ship. And I have never seen the TV series, although I have seen some excerpts on YouTube about it. So I guess the next thing now is to start it up and see how it goes in the water bath. I think I've mentioned in other videos that I don't use steam oil on these tiny engines. It just seems to gum things up. So I rely on the moisture and the steam to lubricate the cylinder and the valve. I add a little oil to the main bearings and the shaft bearings, and that's it. This is a little 6-volt battery that I found. There's probably enough room in the hull for a 4-pack of AAA batteries, and there certainly wouldn't have been a problem with the weight, because I did have to add quite a bit of sheet lead. But I found this little 6-volt battery, and that's the voltage needed to operate the toy that I used for the rudder. Okay, that seems to be working fine. And the boiler uses about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of a cubic inch of water. So I've got that measured out on this little syringe. And this is the boiler cap and pressure valve. You can see if the pressure gets high enough, it'll push that little ball up. The engine runs on very low pressure, probably about 5 psi. And then I showed this in one of the earlier videos. I'm going to adjust the wick there to adjust the flame. Okay, right now I'm filling the little alcohol lamp right here. I'm kind of off screen here, didn't realize that. That's probably enough. The boiler on this half a cubic inch of water, or I think this boiler is a little bigger. I think it'll hold one cubic inch. Anyway, it runs for about 10 minutes. And well, I guess everything's ready here to put the cover back on. It doesn't take very long for the boiler to heat up. You can fill the boiler and oil the bearings and add the fuel and light it, and you'll be ready to go in 3 or 4 minutes, and then the boat will run for about 10 minutes. So this is the first time I have tried to run the engine inside the ship. On the very first video I did a bench test. If you haven't watched the first 2 videos, check those out. The first video shows the power plant being bench tested. As I mentioned earlier, the sheet lid is on the very bottom of the boat, which produces a very low center of gravity, so the boat has got quite a bit of stability. Although I'd be very careful about operating it in deep water, because if it would swamp, it would sink very fast and the boat would be gone. So you would only want to operate the boat in probably shallow, clear water, where if you did have an accident, you could retrieve it. I think you can see that the propeller is kicking up a little bit of a wake there. So I'm sure the boat will move along at a respectable speed. I mean, it's not gonna set any records, that's for sure, but probably as far as the model speed, it probably would be quite accurate for a model of this size. Okay, we've got a problem here. This little toy has a second channel, which I plan to use for a whistle. This is a personal security alarm whistle that I ordered from China, and by the time it got here it was all corroded and it didn't work. So I've got a second one coming. It's been several weeks. But I thought I would install this in the front of the boat, and I don't know what kind of a whistle sound it is. I'm sure it's very loud and shrill, but I thought I would use that for the second channel so I could have somewhat of a whistle on this. The boiler is so small that it doesn't produce enough steam to properly operate a steam whistle. I wish I would have been able to make the rudder turn a little bit more than it does. It just wasn't enough room to get it to turn any further. So I'm thinking that it's probably not going to turn a very sharp circle in the water. I'll probably make one final video when I have somebody to help me running the boat on a larger body of water, so we can see how what the speed and what the turning radius is. And hopefully by that time I'll have my whistle installed. Okay, well, I don't know how much of this you're interested in watching, but it should go for quite a while longer. I will probably just edit this down. For those of you interested, this is my little Sherlin lathe that I build the engines and boilers and propellers and couplers and all the mechanical parts on. I'm using an old South Bend lathe as kind of the bench to raise it up. I haven't used this lathe in many years. It's badly worn and quite a bit out of adjustment. This is a picture of the book that I wrote, Miniature Model Steamboats. The Clyde Puffer is not in here, although the Clyde Puffer uses the same engine as Little Toot, and it has basically the same boiler as the African Queen, and the propeller is the same as many of the boats, and the coupler is similar. The hull for the Clyde Puffer was downloaded on the internet and converted to a 13-inch long model. Again, the Clyde Puffer is not in my book, but the book has colored pictures and plans and pictures of the details. 75 pages, 78 pages, something like that. And I sell the book for $50 US. Okay, there's a little moisture in the boat there. I don't know if the steam pipe on the engine exhaust came off just now when I was taking the superstructure off, or earlier. There's just a little bit of moisture in there. It's not too bad. Okay, thank you for watching.